Hi guys, it's funny how a girl in Europe can plan her whole week of sewing, but then comes the Oscars night, especially a girl named Zendaya, and the whole plan changes. Thank God Zendaya wore this Armani Privé dress because, lucky for me, I had these fabrics in my stash, which is totally a lie. I'm lucky enough to have my husband who drove me to the fabric store this morning after spending the whole night of researching the right fabrics, which I could do because I have a newborn, I don't sleep anyways. Yeah, it's the next morning and I already have the fabrics. My only problem with the fabric is that this sequin, silver sequin lace is a bit lighter than Zendaya's one, but I think I can make it work with backing it with a black fabric. But this fabric is totally a match. I don't want to be too cocky about it, but I think I have something amazing going on. So let's get to work. So first we're gonna need our pattern pieces. I have a version of this pattern for years now. I made some modifications beforehand on mock-up, and I'm glad I did because there were some major ill-fitting things. So I fixed those, and this is a second version. So I'm gonna cut the lining based on this pattern and we'll see what happens. Okay, so this is the lining fabric I chose, and I ironed some interfacing on to make it more sturdier. Then I put my pattern pieces onto this fabric and cut out everything. Here I just placed my center front piece on the fold. And as always, we're gonna sew everything right sides facing right sides together. Okay, so this is how the corset looks so far. And I am not mad about it. I actually think that for the first fitting it's perfect. And the back is perfect. It's done. In the front I would like to have a more defined curve like Zendaya has, because right now it's just a sweetheart basically, and I want it to be like basically flat and then have a more defined curve. But other than that, I'm really happy with the fit. Okay, so I think I like the curve here, which means I can cut into the sequin fabric and things are getting exciting. Okay, so now we're gonna pin our pattern pieces onto this sequin fabric, and we're gonna have the same seam allowance. For me it's 1 centimeter, which is about half an inch. I highly recommend you not to use your fabric scissors but another fabric scissor. For me it's just an old one. This sequin fabric can easily destroy your scissors, so you should do that. Okay, so these are all the pieces cut out of sequin, and those are the leftover sequins, which I'm gonna have in my studio and in my home for about, I don't know, 4 weeks. But that is my pretty mess. Anyways, you guys can see how I sew my sequin pieces right sides facing together. I used a fairly thick sharp needle in my machine and a fairly small stitch as well. This way, my needle went through my fabric smoothly and it didn't pull my fabric. Also, can you guys see how gorgeous this fabric looks on camera? I gotta be honest, it's not this amazing in real life, but the lights made it shine really bright. Next, I trimmed the seam allowances off and pressed them. Pro tip: you shouldn't do this step on your actual ironing board because it was harder to clean its surface in order to remove the sequin pieces. Okay guys, so I went ahead and cut out the boning cases, and I'm gonna sew them down. As you can see here, my pattern pieces shifted a little bit under my sewing machine, and I would be annoyed about it, but in this situation I am not, because it's gonna be covered with the purple fabric, so I can just cut it away, and on this side it's not a thing. But yeah, these mysterious things happen while sewing.
I sewed the casing on 1 mm from its edges. I went real slow so I won't run off my casing.
Guys, there is something really satisfying about perfectly placed casing. So now we're gonna actually put the bonings in.
And ooh, when I tell you I struggled with putting those bonings in, even though they had smooth rounded ends, I even turned off my camera out of anger because no one needed to see how frustrated I was. But then again, I managed to do it, and look how this corset just holds its shape. Next, I put the wrong side of the sequin fabric on the right side of the black lining because it will act like one layer. I pinned and sewn the edges with 0.5 centimeter seam allowance so I can finish it later with bias binding easier.
Okay, so I couldn't wait for another fit check, so let's see. Well, this is the corset right now and I really love it. I have to be honest, I'm really proud of it. Again, sorry for my bra, just please ignore it. I think I'm gonna throw on the other fabric. I don't know how, but let's just twist it. Also, this is a habit of mine. I like to throw on just random pieces of fabric. Oh, look how shiny it is. So I really like to throw on random fabrics to have a vision. This helps to clear my design if I'm designing. Right now I'm just knocking it off. I tend to walk around in the house in random pieces of huge fabrics, but this makes me happy, so who cares? I'm gonna stop for the day because it's nighttime. Both of my kids are sleeping and I think I achieved pretty much during one day. So let's see you tomorrow. Bye! Hi, this is the next morning. I have my coffee with me and I just realized I made a mistake because on the picture I can see that the dress has this sequin part coming down until Zendaya's hips, and I didn't do that, so I'm gonna add that panel onto the waistline. So this is gonna be my next step, and also I'm gonna make some bias binding because I need to finish the upper part here, and I'm gonna do that with bias binding. So these are the things that we are going to do.
So I took some measurements like the waist and hips and the waist to hip length and transferred it directly onto my lining fabric, and I put these pieces onto my sequin fabric as well. After I joined these pieces together, I connected the waistlines right sides together.
Okay guys, another fit check. So this is how the corset looks with the added piece. I think it's much better. Also, I didn't pin up the center back because I couldn't do it for myself. And we're gonna finish the upper part with the bias binding and we're gonna move on to
the purple fabric. Sorry, my camera died while I was filming that bit. So I mentioned this bias binding a lot of times now, but here it is how I made it. First I cut a long 3 cm wide strip and I fed that through my bias binding maker thingy and I ironed it. That's it. This is the easiest part of the whole project. I pinned the quarter line to the 0.5 cm seam allowance on the right side and sewn along this line. Then I folded the binding 2 times over the wrong side and sewn into its place. I put an invisible zipper into my corset just very roughly because I needed to be able to have a closure for fittings.
Guys, I've made some progress, I think. So this is the corset so far. And I think, yeah, it's gonna be tighter, this zipper. So it's gonna be a bit more snug around my waist and my hips. But so far I'm really happy with the outcome. We move on to the purple fabric actually. So I'm really excited because it's still daytime, so you can see the fabric in its full glory without any artificial lighting. So let's move on.
This time my storage space was full, so my camera refused to record me draping the skirt. Then I tried to drape the top part, but I had way too much fabric and I couldn't handle it the right way. So I cut out a 50 by 80 centimeters square piece and I started draping with it. It went much better. I could do the pleats and the twisted strap as well. Okay guys, my baby just joined the voiceover, so if you hear cute sounds or even pooping, oh yeah, that's the cute sound, then that's her. So, back to the video. I have to be honest, I am not a fan of draping. I much prefer flat pattern making, as I kind of have to understand the length and width of certain body parts and I transfer these measurements onto paper and I do the math. Sometimes this is my preferred method. Wee poop! So what I meant to say is, this is my preferred method, but I still make mistakes, so it's nice to drape once in a while. After I pressed the pleats on the mannequin, I took my basting thread and fixed the pleats.
Hi, it's day 3 of making this dress. I'm sick, but this is my way of healing. So we're gonna continue with the purple fabric and we're gonna create the back skirt and we're gonna sew everything together. And today is gonna be an interesting day because I think I can make a fitting with the whole dress.
Which I did. So I continued with the basting. I was basting the pleats and then I took my back measurements. I don't know how to say it, but you can see that I measured the back hip, waist and the back. Sorry for the poor explanation. After I drew my pattern onto the fabric and I cut them out with a big seam allowance. It was so big that I had to take in a lot, which you can see later. If you're wondering, you're not the only one not seeing the chalk on the fabric. This shiny organza satin was really against any marker. Quick prayer before cutting into this pricey fabric, and here we go. So this is the pattern layout and I sewn everything right sides facing right sides together. And I changed my needle to a thin sharp one because the sequin fabric made my previous needle really dull. And finally, you guys, I was pinning the front and back piece together.
I think I quite like it. As Jimmy said, all love is blind. I can work with that. Can you see what I'm seeing? The pleats. And of course I'm gonna make it more like a mermaid style, like this. Like Zendaya had. I didn't expect this to actually look like Zendaya's dress, but it does. So it's funny for me. Of course it needs a lot of work because there are a lot of excess fabrics like here and there. And also I have to make the corset tighter because either I lost some weight, which can happen because I was sick for the last couple of days, but I need to take in the corset a bit. Oh yeah, this is the back. Can you see how beautiful? Wow. Wow. So here's the dilemma. I don't know if I should make the palm trees out of this sequin fabric resembling palm trees, or if I should just use fabric paint, black fabric paint, because honestly I cannot decide if it's embellished on Zendaya's dress or if it's part of the print. So I don't know, I'm kind of hesitating on that. So this is why I'm gonna end the video right here because I need you guys' advice. So please leave a comment below which way should I go, the sequin one or the fabric paint one. And then I'm gonna finish the dress and you're gonna come back for part 2. Bye!